Hey there, this is John with Heroes and Legends, and I am here with this week's comic book haul. This is a small haul this week, not a whole lot came in. Don't know if this was a fifth week of the month, maybe it was. Sometimes when you got a quote-unquote fifth week, you don't get a lot of books, so maybe that was what it was. But anyway, let's talk about the books. First one is a Dead Drop, and this is a Valiant book. This is number 4. And Valiant's done a good job. I've been picking up a lot of Valiant books. If you watch my other hauls, you'll see that. First off, I like the fact that they have deals in works to make movies out of their products. I think there's a lot of potential there. They got a lot of cool characters that a lot of people remember from the 90s. And they also have done a really fine job getting a superb writing staff on their books, and the books have been very, very strong in the writing department. So really like what they've done. I also like the fact when you think back to the 90s when things were crazy and they were printing millions of copies of books, the print runs of these are relatively low. And what's kind of nice is they don't flood the market with books and compete against themselves. That's what kind of killed the original Valiant, was they at some point were making like 15, 20 titles or something, and it went from being this kind of a quaint little universe that you could just buy all the titles to just something that was too big and it just grew too fast. Well, what they do here is they'll have a book like, say, Harbinger for a while, and then they'll basically stop it and they'll start like maybe a Harbinger miniseries, or they'll tell a tale about one of its characters, but at the same time they'll just use that same creative team, but they won't continue to try to like make another Harbinger book at the same time, so that you don't feel like you have to buy a million books. So having said that, like Valiant a lot, they've been doing a lot of good things. So next book is also a Valiant book. This is Ninjak number 6, and this is part 1 of a new story arc, so it's definitely a good jumping on point. Matt Kent is writing this and doing a really fine job with this title. I think I mentioned Ninjak last week because Book of the Dead number 2 came out, so I won't go into too much more detail there, but a couple Valiant books. We'll move on to DC, and next book is Justice League of America. And this is an interesting book. It's written and drawn by Brian Hitch. And here's the thing with Brian Hitch. This is the first thing I've ever read by him that he wrote. I've seen his art for many, many years, and he's an incredible artist, and it's a really nice looking cover. I will say the thing about Brian Hitch, though, is it takes him a really long time to get his art pieces completed for comics. When he's on top of his game and he's doing the full-on flush art and it looks beautiful, but you might be waiting 6 to 8 months for that comic book to come out, which I'm sure really hurts the momentum of sales. So in recent years, he's been kind of doing the sketching and the drawing, and then someone else has been coming in doing finishes and inking for him. So he gets the product out on time, but it doesn't quite look the same as the really amazing Brian Hitch work that you used to see, maybe 10 years ago or so. And you think back to, like, say, the Ultimates, his art there was amazing, but the joke was, you could wait a year for an issue of the Ultimates, and it was an amazing book. But here, this book's coming out on time. The art's not going to be as sharp and beautiful as it was in the Ultimates or some of his past work, but it's still very good. He still does a really fine job. As far as the writing goes, it's a pleasant surprise. He definitely writes better than most artists that are kind of crossing over into being a writer or trying to break into that. Sometimes it takes people a while to get that right. Sometimes they never get it right. I will say the one critique I have about his writing is it is a little too wordy. He's not using the art to really tell his story as much as he could. There are times you're just reading like walls of text that are written over this beautifully drawn art panel, and you're just kind of like, maybe there's a better way to tell this story than with a lot of like narrative. And when books start using too much narrative and not dialogue and art to tell their story, that's usually the sign of a weak writer. So this is the third part. I'm gonna hang in there and see how it develops. The first issue had an interesting idea, which kept me on for the second one. The second one made me kind of say, okay. But I'm going to read this one and see how it goes. And I'd like to kind of at least maybe stick through the story arc and see if there's development. Because there's definitely a lot of potential here. And I hope that it kind of smooths out a little bit. But overall, it's definitely not one of my high recommendations. But check it out. You might like it. And I think his writing style is going to get better. Alright, next book is Fight Club 2, and this is by Dark Horse Comics, and this is number 4. This book is written by Chuck Palahniuk, and he's the writer of the original Fight Club book. And of course that was adapted into the movie, which was very popular. Spoilers, if anyone hasn't seen the movie yet and they're planning on seeing it, I'll try not to, but I might give something away as I talk about this book, so be advised. As far as the original Fight Club book novel goes, it's incredible. If you haven't had a chance to read it, a lot of people have seen the movie and never read the book. Read the book. It is, I know it's cliche to say, but it is better than the movie, and the movie's great. I love the movie. So Fight Club has been a really cool property that's been kind of hanging around, and nothing's ever happened with it. There was never a sequel to the movie or a sequel to the book or anything until now. The writer's come back and he's writing a comic book, which is the direct sequel to his original novel / movie, and it's pretty awesome. I mean, if you like Fight Club, especially the book, you'll enjoy this. I mean, you kind of know what you're getting into. It's craziness and it's really kind of fun, but also kind of dark at the same time. But it's been good, and it's just what you'd expect it to be. It's fun to kind of see the narrator kind of rediscover, I guess, Tyler. And the only thing I will say, they did give the narrator a name, and I don't know how I feel about that. I kind of like him being nameless, but yeah, it's great. Check it out if you haven't. Now, this is the 4th issue, so you would have to kind of dig through the back issues, but maybe wait for the trade. But it's really well written and really different. So if you're a fan of the property, definitely check it out. All right, next book is Thief of Thieves, number 30. Now, Thief of Thieves originally was written and conceived by Robert Kirkman. He did the first story arc. Second story arc was by James Osmus. And the third and 4th and 5th now, I believe, story arcs have been by Andy Diggle. He's kind of taken over as the regular writer for this book. If you haven't read this book before, it's really good. I will say the Kirkman arc was probably the strongest, and it really felt like he set the vibe up that it really felt like an Ocean's 11 type style book, in the idea of, a Danny Ocean type character, but basically he's stealing from bad guys. He's stealing from mobsters, from thieves. So he has all this experience doing heists and thefts, but he's trying to kind of turn over a new leaf. He's trying to get out of the business, but something always kind of pulls him back in, and he tries to do things the right way by stealing from people who maybe deserve it. So it is really cool. The second story arc by James Osmus was also very well written, and the first 2 story arcs had a very light kind of Ocean's 11 feel to them. Now, Andy Diggle came in, and he's a little harder. I mean, he's a little more crime focused and centric, a little more violent, but he still writes very well. I will say, out of the 3 writers, he's probably not quite my favorite compared to the other 2, but he still does a really fine job with the book, and it still carries on as a very strong book. Here we are at issue 30. At one point there was a talk of this becoming a television series. I don't know if that's going to happen or what happened to that. I think it would be an incredible television series. I mean, imagine like a heist every season, like an Ocean's 11 style heist every season, with characters that are really fun to watch and cool. That's what this would basically be. So that would be awesome. So hopefully it happens. If you're not reading the book, I definitely would pick it up. It's definitely one of my top 3 of the week, along with Fight Club and this last book. So my number 1 pick of the week is Old Man Logan, number 4, and this is a 5-part mini-series. It's one of the Secret Wars tie-ins. I know I haven't been very flattering when it comes to Secret Wars in general, if you've watched my other videos, but this one is awesome. This may be the best one. Either this or the other one Bendis is writing, The Ultimate End, are the 2 strongest, I think. There's a few other decent ones, but those 2 have been amazing. And Brian Michael Bendis, just an incredible writer. If you've read Old Man Logan, the Mark Millar storyline and trades, it's not quite like that, but it definitely takes the feel and tone from it, and takes it in kind of that Secret Wars universe, where basically the character of Old Man Logan is roaming from province to province in the Secret Wars world, where he's going in and out of different realities. And it's really strong, really well written, and just kind of just a fun book to watch. Yeah, it's not quite as dark as, say, the original Millar storyline, but definitely very, very good book. So hey, those are the books for the week. Next week I'll be back with another haul, and I still haven't had a chance to go out and get some back issues. At some point soon I want to do that. Life keeps getting in the way, so at some point I want to go out to the flea market Sunday morning before it gets to be winter time, and get out there and get some books, maybe showcase those. But I have some other plans too, to show some books from my collection, some of my favorites at some point too. So hey, thanks for subscribing. I already have, at this point of recording, 4 subscribers, which really surprises me. This is only my 4th video I'm putting out, but this community seems really cool. I've been making YouTube videos for a while for other topics, trading cards, Magic the Gathering and stuff, but I really love comics, and I'm really pleased to be able to make these videos and be a part of this community, because I've loved watching haul videos for many years, and it's kind of cool to be able to talk about comics. So hey, thanks as always for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. Have a good day.